go.
Thanks, Jay.
In the repair shop today, Master of Mechanics Steve suffers a rare lapse in perfection.
Yes, you know when you do a job and you're not quite happy with it yourself?
No.
I knew you were going to say that.
And it's wagon's roll for Susie, as her years as a saddler in the Wild West see her riding high.
These strings are left long so that you can tie things to it, like a lasso or your blanket roll, anything that a cowboy would need to use.
The first job of the day is for antique audio expert Mark Stuckey.
Does look tired, this one, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly been well loved, shall we say.
Heading in to reveal all about this vintage sound system is Clifton Smith from South Wales.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
Not too bad.
This looks amazing. I had one of these in my house, and this is like the heartbeat of the family.
Yeah, yeah.
So this has got a record player then on it?
Yes.
And it's got a radio?
Yeah.
And then there's a door on here. What's in there then?
That's a cocktail cabinet.
Is it?
Yeah.
OK. So tell us about this. Where'd you get this from?
My mum and dad bought it. My mum and dad came over from Jamaica.
OK. And their names?
Cliff and Ebony.
Okay.
They got married in 60. I was born in 61, and when I was born, he was there.
It was there, yeah? All right.
I got memories from, like, when, me and my mum, she'd do her housework, put the records on, and we'd just stay there and spend half the afternoon just dancing. My mum, she used to sing part-time.
Oh, she used to sing as well?
Yeah, yeah. We used to live next door to Bros.
What, Bros, the pop group?
Yeah, and one Christmas, Matt and my mum were singing Christmas carols in the front room.
OK.
To be fair, it was the best concert I've been to.
When was the last time you heard this play?
About 43 years ago. I was getting ready to join the army. I was 16 and a half, so...
You're 16 and a half?
Yeah, 1978. We had a party. We played the music on here.
Yeah.
And next day, I joined up. The last song I ever heard on it was James Brown, It's a Man's World.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that was the last.
Yeah.
Me and my mum, that's what we used to dance to. And basically, I want to hear that again on here.
You want to hear that again on there?
I can close my eyes and look back and imagine me and my mum just dancing. And she holding my hand and spinning me round and whatnot.
So it's got good memories?
Yeah. My mum passed away 4 years ago.
OK.
And my dad passed away 5 years ago. It's the only thing, really, that I've got left that links them to me, basically. Every time I look at it, it just reminds me of them.
Yeah.
Just a matter of interest, have you attempted to plug it in and see what happens when you turn it on?
Yeah, I plugged it in. The light comes on, and you can hear a little bit of crackling through the speakers as well. So.
Wow.
That's all right, isn't it? Light comes on, crackling.
Yeah, as a start.
That's a start.
Yeah. It's going to be enormously pleasurable to work on it and to bring each stage back to as it was, as you remember it.
Yeah, it brings back memories. It does bring back memories.
Yeah. Cliff, thank you for bringing us in and taking me back down memory lane.
All right, cheers.
Well, you take care now.
Thank you very much. See you later.
There you go. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh.
Oh, that is solid, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's got a great family history. It's brilliant. But it's also so sad. So many faults, failings from the case, which we'll have a look at that. The front, where the speakers are, and then I've got to do the rest, as it were. And the actual loudspeakers themselves are seriously damaged. Well, I've got to start somewhere, so let's see how I get the speakers out. I should better release them. Oh, like pulling teeth. That's the loudspeaker. You can see it's got damp and that's why this is deteriorated. There's a simple way to how to test this using a multimeter, and that is just make sure I've got continuity across the cone. That's good. Yeah, the main speaker I can repair. Right, that's the tweeter removed. The electrical connections from the outside to the speech coil in here have literally severed. This one I'll have to replace. Right, that's one part. I've now got to get in and remove the remaining parts. That one is easy. Put that there.
As Mark digs into the 1960s radiogram, another mid-century treasure is on its way into the barn.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good.
Lydia Lewis from Lancashire is hoping Steve Fletcher can fix her dinky trinket.
So what we got in the box?
It is a musical telephone lighter.
Okay. I was going to ask you what does it do, but it does everything. Music and it's a light.
It does a bit of everything. So
That's really cool.
and then it should have a lighter function, but does not work.
That is quite. I'm still like lost by that.
That's an unusual concoction of things.
It is.
Where'd you get this from?
So it belonged originally to my nan, my dad's mum. She bought it, we think, late 60s, early 70s.
Makes sense.
And it lived in their house on their drinks trolley for years and years and years. And then she passed away and it became my granddad's to look after.
Okay.
And then when he passed away a couple of years ago, it's now mine. I'm kind of the family oddity collector, I suppose. I love vintage barware and things like that, and
Yeah.
that was something that my nan and granddad did too, and they had loads of drinks trolleys and drinks cabinets in the house, so it's definitely where my love of kind of mid-century items has come from.
Okay.
And then the beauty of it is that so much of it has come to me that I've managed to recreate the house that I loved so much in my own house now. This one lives on the exact same trolley that it did in their house.
So they had a few drinks trolleys. So they were entertainers then. They must have been.
Definitely. My nan was very house proud, and I think having the kind of display and the look was very important.
Did you ever meet them?
So my nan passed away before I was born, but my granddad, yeah, we used to go to the football together on a weekly basis and things like that. So
You've never met your grandmother?
no.
So having these items, does that give you a connection to her?
Definitely, yeah, and I think that's something that, as a family, we often reflect on the idea that, you know, it was something she was very much into, and it's passed down, so it's definitely a little bit of a living on through that, I think. And I would just love to see it the same way that they saw it all those years ago.
The music box I heard was working.
Yeah, the lighter is not in working order. And we have a broken part of a telephone.
That's the mouthpiece, isn't it?
Yeah.
That goes
it
on
should
there, yeah.
fit here, like this.
Okay.
I'd love it to be back on the drinks trolley in the kitchen and be able to, you know, use it to light candles on the dinner table when everybody sat down and get back using it for its function.
Yeah. Mad, isn't it, really? But it's got such charm about it.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing this in.
Thank you. I
You
look
take
forward
care
to
now.
seeing it. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Okay, bye now. This is an extraordinary piece. The musical box side of this is okay, which is great news. This plastic mouthpiece here is just cracked. I think if I tried to wrap some filler around there, it would still be vulnerable to getting knocked and breaking again. So I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do there. Looking in here, I can see that the actual striking wheel doesn't appear to be turning. If that's not turning against the flint, then it won't create a spark. That does actually unscrew. And that's how to get new flints inside the lighter. I think what I'll try and do before I try and take the whole thing apart, I'll see if I can get a new flint for it, put that in and see whether that will actually work. That'd be really handy.
In his quest to get the 1960s sound system producing its dulcet tones once again, Mark must address the tattered speakers.
It's a thin paper, it deteriorates. And of course, as this is deteriorating, when the speaker's back into use, this up and down movement of sound being generated will eventually weaken all this, and eventually it will literally break off. And when it's done that, of course, you'll have this awful sound, harshness of and you're trying to listen to the music. Can I hear that? So I've now got to repair the cone. In this case, I managed to find this old speaker cone. And I've just got to cut it and then sort of effectively just sort of start to shape it. Yeah. So I'm happy with the overall shape of the repatch. Need to now go and start sticking it down. Right. Right, now I've just got to get it, first of all, this is a tricky part. I've got another piece here, a little hole. I suppose in a way it's a bit like doing a repair on an old bike tyre. You start with all the good intentions of keeping your fingers and everything else clean. By the time you finish, you're covered in it. OK, I'll give it a few minutes, then I'll have a look at it again, just in case I need to do any little touching or if anything's moved. But its integrity should be there again, and it should respond well to lower frequencies. So I'm happy with that.
With so much to do, Mark has pulled in Will's expertise on the wooden outer casing and Jay's nimble fingers to sort out the speaker grill.
It's always nice to have your company, Jay.
Oh, thank you.
That fabric is going to look lovely, isn't it? Once it's on there.
Yeah, this is going to look amazing. It's just going to make it look fresh.
For the sound quality as well. And I know that you like your records, Jay. I don't know anyone who has as many records as you.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know people that have got more than me. I've only got 1,000.
1,000?
Yeah, that's not
Really?
a lot. And that's why this, to me, is, like, perfect, because the speaker is what it's all about.
Yeah.
You can have all the records you want, but if you haven't got the right speakers and it don't sound right, it doesn't mean anything. And that's the fabric off. And I think that's well used, isn't it? What I've got to do now is get this all prepared for gluing. So rub it down and just clean it off.
Now that I've cleaned the casework, I'm just starting to remove the damaged varnish on the top. So rather than sanding it back, where there's a risk of going through the varnish but also through the wood, I've decided to use some paint stripper. Already I can see the stripper's doing its job. And if I use some steel wool, I should be able to run that across the surface. And you can see there, that's not just the stripper, that's the stripper, but a lot of varnish. And it hasn't changed the colour of the wood. Fantastic. I'm going to keep on applying the stripper to the entire top, and once I've removed all the nasty old varnish, then I can apply the clear new varnish.
Just securing this fabric on there, so when it goes back into the actual case, it will just sit nice and snug and it won't come apart. I think it's looking like a speaker. I would be proud to own a speaker like this. Look at that cover. That looks cool.
I've just received the speaker grill back from Jay. What I've got to do now is refit the two loudspeakers. The original one I've repaired, and the new one because that was totally gone. After that, I've got to put this back into Clifton's radiogram and then reassemble all this, and then the excitement begins because I can then try it all out, which will be really exciting.
While Mark's had help from a whole posse, riding in with the next job is Lone Ranger Ilana Beavis.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Lana.
Lana, and wow, that's a very large saddle you've got there.
For Susie, who spent 22 years immersed in ranch life as a saddler in Colorado, it's the perfect job.
Please tell me all about it.
So my saddle belonged to my great-grandfather, Morris Averill.
Okay.
So it's pretty old.
Yes.
My great-grandparents moved to Canada
Right.
and had a rodeo. There's a lot of stories, but also some pictures of some of the riders that were there as well.
Incredible.
So there was a lot of stuff going on. And the story is that they lived with Native Americans that came up there, and it was very sort of wild.
Gosh, that is fascinating. What sort of dates would this be?
Probably, 1920s or even earlier than that.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think it must have been quite risky to
Yes.
go to a different country to take that chance. They came from farming backgrounds, so maybe they thought, horses make sense. And then after a few years, they sold up the rodeo and came back. And it's interesting that out of everything that they had there, that the saddle made it back to the UK. So it must have had quite a high value to them.
So do horses run through the family?
Yeah, so I think pretty much from the day I was born, I was obsessed with horses, not really sort of knowing why. My parents were actually divorced, and so I didn't know that side of the family until I was a teenager. And then, I was obsessed with horses, and it was only when I met my grandmother that it clicked.
You'd never met her?
I'd never met her prior to being 18 years old.
That's extraordinary.
And she showed me around her house and showed me, a huge box of memorial of her family and the saddle.
What did you think when you saw this saddle?
I mean, I was in love with it, and I was like, wow. And then when she passed away, it's just been handed down and landed with me. And that was purely because I was the horsey one.
How lovely. Have you been using it?
I haven't been using it, but
Okay.
my son, who's 2 years old, he loves to come up and sit on it. And that's when I noticed that actually it's in far worse condition than I thought it was. The leather straps have broken.
Right.
As you can see, the bottom of it
It's totally coming apart.
is totally apart now.
Yeah. Do you mind if I take a peek?
Yeah, sure, yeah,
Okay.
take a look.
So this is really interesting, the underside. It looks like this has had some sort of modification. It's as if they've tried to make a padded English panel versus the typical Western style panel. So would you like it to remain like this?
Not necessarily. It'd be quite nice to have it back in its original state.
If I'm able to get it back in a reasonable condition, you're not considering using it again?
Probably not. It's really heavy. I think I'd be worried about something happening to it.
Well, the reason I ask that is because my approach would be very different if you were wanting to use it, and it's not something that I would recommend of something of this age, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It's more of an ornamental thing.
Exactly. You don't often get to have something as big or as magnificent as this that means so much to somebody, or certainly did mean so much to my great-grandfather all those years ago.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that it will last another 100 years, and it's nice to be able to pass that down.
Oh, this is going to be cracking. Yeah, that was amazing. Thank you for bringing it in.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'll be in touch.
Yeah, thank
All right,
you.
take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye. This is 100 years old, and the amount of effort and time that's gone into this must have been extraordinary. It's very ornately decorated by tooling and carving of the leather. Having moved back from America myself, I know that I had to make some tough decisions as to what I was going to bring back. And to be perfectly honest, if I had a saddle like this, it probably would have been the only thing I would have brought back too. This is the skirt that sits on the horse's back, and at some point in his life somebody has decided to see if they could make it into more of a padded cushion rather than traditionally this would just be covered with shirling or sheepskin. So I feel it'd be a really good idea for me to take all of that leather and the padding off, I will clean these and get them really supple again, and then I'll put it back into more of an original condition. The strings will need to be replaced along with the leather rosettes, but the first thing I need to do is take these skirts off.
On the opposite workbench, Susie's brother Steve has finished the first step of his job, replacing the flint on the 1950s telephone lighter.
I'm going to just tighten that up, and hopefully that will create a spark now. That's a great spark. It's brilliant. All I need to do is clean everything up and then repair the actual mouthpiece. I need to make it strong enough, but it's also got to look right. So I'm just going to strengthen it by drilling this and putting a rod inside there and up into the mouthpiece itself. And then just build up with an epoxy resin, and that should make it strong enough so that this piece won't break again. That's gone solid almost straight away, and that's going to make a really strong job now. I'm going to start using a two-part filler and fill around the rest of this here to build it up. I'm really pleased with the way this has shaped up, but I'm not pleased with the colour at all, because the main body of the mouthpiece is translucent, and the filler that I put in there is solid, so there's no light getting through it at all. If I was spraying it or painting it all, it would be really acceptable. But to me, it's okay, but it's just not quite good enough. And I think in the barn we can do better than that. So I'm going to take it over to Kirsten, who I know can do a much better job than I can. And we will get this absolutely right for Lydia. Kirsten.
Hello.
You know when you do a job and you're not quite happy with it yourself?
No.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, I've done a job, and I think that you will be able to do a much better job than me. This
Really?
is translucent, and the filler that I put in is solid. And I'm just wondering whether you can help me out with something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I could try and fill it with something that does have that translucent quality and see if that will make it look a little better.
Brilliant, thank you.
Give it a go. Managed to remove the fill that Steve did on the tiny receiver here, and I'm now back to probably where he started. I'm going to use a colour fill technique that I use quite frequently on all different sorts of ceramic, and the beauty with this is that I'm going to bulk the adhesive using glass bubbles and some fumed silica, and that's going to allow the light to travel through the fill and hopefully recreate that slightly translucent plastic effect. Right, I'm going to go in with a lemon yellow. I'm really just making a core fill at the moment and trying to shape it. And once I've got that nice and smooth, I'm going to then put another layer on the top and try and get an exact match of that outer colour. And then it's a case of letting it cure, polishing it, and giving it back to Steve.
Wiring wizard Mark has overhauled all the inner workings of the 60s radiogram.
Right, I'm now just starting to put all the electronics and the turntable back into Clifton's radiogram. So quite a bit of wiring to deal with, but we will get there. So one piece at a time. I've done the wiring for the pickup, but I've got to connect the mains to it as well. Then I've also got to get the amplifier into position to the front of the case, like that. And then it's a case of wiring the turntable for the mains. I'm surprised at how many wires you have to deal with. So, there we go. Right, that's wired up. So by the time I finish putting all the rest of the cables on, it'll then be ready for Clifton for the first time in ages to be able to hear a record playing again. And I can imagine it will bring back many memories.
This radiogram provided the soundtrack to Clifton's childhood, and despite falling silent over 40 years ago, the family couldn't let it go.
I think this is going to be far more than his expectation. It was in a really poor way.
Yeah, it was.
You know.
Looking forward to hearing its sweet sound once again, Clifton is back at the barn.
There he is. How you doing?
Hello, how you doing? All right?
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
This is going to be an exciting time for all of us, I think. So are you ready for this?
Yeah, that's really good. I'm going to be.
Take a deep breath.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Good God. Oh, my goodness. Does it work?
Play him a record, Mark. Go on.
Yeah.
Wow. That's it. It's just the same. It's just the same.
How's that feel, Clifton?
Amazing. It's like going back to a 4-year-old
He was
again.
dancing around
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Good memories?
Yeah. I've got a picture of me standing in front of it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same.
Wow.
I can't believe it. There was a mark, and this is like brand new.
That's because of that young man over there.
Yeah.
Will.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
It's absolutely amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Keep the neighbours up now.
You look at he can't wait now.
Yeah. Clifton, it's been a real pleasure. It's been great fun, and I hope you have many years of pleasure and fun with it as
Thank you
well.
very much. I have got no words that I can say to thank you.
Don't need to.
You know, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. I do like that. It's going to be a shame to see it go now.
I'm feeling on cloud 9 at the moment. It's beyond what I could have thought it was going to be. I can't wait to just sit down and think of Mum and Dad. And when I put a record on, I can just imagine the pair of them sat beside me listening.
Master saddler Susie is busy reversing the modifications on the western saddle, removing the padding and nursing the 100-year-old leather back to health.
You can see there's lots and lots of dirt that's collected over the years. Plus, this leather has got really distorted, and I want to try and feed this leather, get it back into really good condition, but also to straighten it out and get it back to how it should look. So I'm just going to start with some tepid water, and that little bit of warmth is going to help to really open up the pores of the leather. And once I've got this really nicely cleaned, I can then go into the oiling, and that oil is going to be absorbed right down deep into the fibres of the leather, and that will start the whole softening up process. That has soaked in nicely. I can go ahead now and just put a little bit of weight on it and help it to all get pressed down back into the shape that it needs to be. Whilst that's drying, I'm going to get on and do the other side. I'm now ready to start preparing the strings for the saddle. This is what connects the skirts, the underneath, to the top. It was really important to find the authentic leather that is used in making Western saddles, and I couldn't find any in the UK. Luckily, I have an apprentice in America. She provided me with all of the strings and the leather rosettes that are used in attaching the strings to the saddle. So this is just an edging tool. I want to create a little bit more of a rounded edge that is a bit more comfortable in the hand when you're using it to tie things on. These strings are left long so that you can tie things to it like a lasso or your blanket roll. Anything that a cowboy would need to use, they literally tie onto the saddle. Cowboys are really good at looking after their horses because they use them as a tool. Having Lana's saddle come in has brought some very happy memories back. Now I've got the strings prepared, I can get on and oil them, which will help to keep the strings nice and supple. That oil starts to darken that leather. It's a beautiful chestnut colour. I now have the skirts back into the condition that I wanted them to be. They've become nice and flat. I've got the strings on ready for me to line with the sheepskin. As there's no remnants of what was originally used to line the underside of this saddle, I think, judging by its age, it would have been fair to assume they would have used sheepskin. That's all well and good when you're using it every day and it's going through the hard work of being on a ranch. However, Lana has expressed the fact that this is going to be used purely as ornamental. And for that very reason, I feel that it is ethical of me to use a faux sheepskin. And once it's all sewn into position, this will just look how it was supposed to. quite excited to get these skirts installed back to the saddle, and then I can put the finishing touches on it.
A brief stint in the hands of the Queen of Invisible filler, Kirsten, has given the 1950s telephone lighter a complete mouthpiece once again.
That's a really good job that Kirsten's made. Really happy with that now. Means I can get it all back together again. So this just simply goes through there, and then that just screws on like that. There we are. So I'm just going to pop some lighter fluid into the main body. Lydia hasn't seen the lighter working for a long, long time, so this is quite exciting. I hope it works. First time. Whoa! Excellent. I'm really pleased with that.
This groovy little ornamental telephone is a link between Lydia and the late grandmother who shared her love of mid-century kitsch.
Is it working?
Yeah.
I've got to call me mummy in Barbados.
It's looking good though, isn't it?
It is looking really good. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good.
Hello.
Hi, Lydia.
I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm really, really hoping to see the lighter working.
The best show, isn't it?
Yep.
OK, Steve.
Oh my goodness. Can I pick it up?
It's yours. Go for it.
Oh, listen.
So I did repair the mouthpiece,
Yeah.
but I wasn't quite happy with the way it looked. So Kirsten did it properly.
Okay. Okay.
And has made a lovely job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. Can't believe how well it is prepared. It's crazy, isn't it? To
Yeah.
see it back together. It's really special. Now, this part, can I press?
Yeah, with confidence.
There you go.
Look at that. Do you know, it's better than I ever kind of imagined it to be. It's crazy. And to see it all working all together at once is amazing too.
So when you get home, is it going to go straight on the drinks trolley?
It is. The space is waiting for it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go straight home and pop it there.
Oh, wow.
I'm just over the moon.
Oh, that's fantastic to see your excitement.
Thank you for bringing us in.
I can't wait.
Take it home.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Thank
you. Take care now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She's made up, isn't she?
Yeah.
Eh?
To press the lighter and for it to actually light, it felt a little bit like going back in time. I think that all the things that my nan collected and treasured in the 60s and 70s, to have them still being looked after and to have them being used exactly as they were, I think she'd be very, very proud.
Susie has almost finished restoring the saddle to how it would have looked when it first graced a horse's back on the Canadian plains over a century ago.
All the strings are put back through the holes, and now I can start adding the leather rosettes. What these do is help to anchor the strings tightly up against the jockey, this top bit of the saddle, and that will draw everything together. It's authentic, it looks the part, and I reckon when Alana sees it, she's going to be really surprised.
This equestrian heirloom was passed down 4 generations of one family, finally becoming one of the most treasured possessions of riding enthusiast Ilana.
Hello, Alana. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. It's really lovely to see you.
Likewise. Hopefully it wasn't too challenging for you.
Well, I'm still smiling. Right, well, I won't keep you in suspense anymore.
Wow. That's incredible. I did not expect that at all. It looks like a completely different saddle. Wow. And the padding has gone, thank goodness. You can definitely see that it wasn't supposed to be there. You have done the most amazing job.
Oh, we're absolute labour of love. I enjoyed every single minute.
It's beautiful. I feel very proud that it's mine again, and being able to show it off and knowing what it would have looked like, or imagining how my great-grandparents would have felt purchasing this, because it's truly wonderful. Thank you. It's just beautiful, really beautiful.
Well, it's yours to take home. I'll get the door for you.
Great, thank you. The saddle is over 100 years old, and it's been passed down from my great-grandparents to me. For me to be able to pass it down to my son, and then for him to be able to pass it down to his children, it's such a wonderful thing. It keeps that connection, I think, between the family and the heritage.